So this is Pure Love Essence, Oxfordshire, UK. My spiritual practice recall name is Trinity Luck Divine. Um, so, um, um, so I just want to show you guys what this, guys, is my letter from that received. I was going to do a video, but I just had a feeling to have a look at this. Now, I meditate and as well as educate myself since I was aware about how the world works, the social structures. Since I was a kid, I observed, I listened, despite having born with hidden disabilities that my parents gave me, because they had it, autism spectrum. They both had physically and mentally and spiritually autism spectrum. My mum from the Caribbean, my father who is English, English, Irish, Scottish heritage, okay? And most likely have a bit Jewish, physical Jewish heritage as well, because there was Jewish people that immigrated during ancient British times. That emigrated to Jewish way before the Romans, actually, believe it or not. But you know, but as I said, we're getting all this information anyway. But and then of course I did do a DNA test because the government really has DNA, so it's nice to know more knowledge. I know people say that, but there's some truth anyway. Of course, these days now you have to have many information, and but I took it the time when it was available in 2020. So in finding my heritage, because the doors was open to make it accessible, because there's only rich people that know about this stuff. Anyway, had their own DNA test. It's been available for decades, way before the public knowledge. They did give me little tests about real fairs and stuff, but anyway, I'm not going to talk about this. What I'm going to talk about was that before I was decided to open this letter that was given me the 20th of July 2026, was that which I'll probably talk about I review my life all the time. I do, as well as do present, right? So at the moment I'm not really happy with my life. I'm grateful. I do find beauty in things, but I get troubled about certain things. So like yesterday, before I went out on Friday, which is probably, you know, the last day of August, which is like the 29th of August, right? So we need, I think the 29th or 30th, I don't know, because I don't have a fucking calendar. And I can't afford it anyway. Only with my phone, and I don't have a tablet. The tablet the person gave me 2 years ago, they have mental difficulties. They had the spiritual attack because they used to work in computers and stuff, and I told them, because they went to a spiritual church, and unfortunately I said I'd take my distance because I want real help. And you know, even though I am struggling, I do need help. At the moment I'm just taking someone a bit more that's not very confident, but they're better than nothing, you know. At least they listen to spirit, not as completely, but at least it's better than nothing, right? You know, my carer, Matt, that I paid Matt, and response team, the two people who work in response with me, they hate it because the fact that they're not, because they know that I'm paying someone who's not supporting the government, if you get my saying. They won't report me because one, they're disabled themselves, and second, um, they're on my side. And okay, unfortunately, I would like to have a caregiver that would be able to defend me if the system does harass me. But unfortunately, that's not the case right now. You know, I am disappointed and angry that I don't have anybody to raise up and face the physical human evil in this world. We have good in this world, but there is much evil in this world, and I don't really like the spiritual and religious community. I think they're all corrupt. I do support like Manderelas and other people, but even then I disagree with them because they came from a very titleless background, if you get my saying. You know, they don't understand that unless you have money, and even then it's not guaranteed, money will not support you in a corrupt country like the United Kingdom. Not a thing. And when it comes to vulnerable people, disabled people, anybody who wants work with the system will tell you that. I still respect Mark Bliesky, and you know I may not feel aligned him that much anymore because I think he's a bit more too negative. But he does, at least he tells the truth about the people that he still meets, about the NHS. There's, you know, he's a disabled man himself, but he's overcoming his disabilities. And I hope, you know, I don't know, I'm not going to go down the drain again. I've mentioned this in my old social media account about him. Because he said he just wouldn't welcome other people who still somewhat practice certain spiritual religion practice that when he's a Buddhist. There's a corruption in the Buddhism, by the way. If you're really, really spiritual awake, you will know there's corruption everywhere. Just sieve out, acknowledge the evil, but at the same time, don't be naive either. You have to be aware of everyone and everything around you, including yourself. It's no coincidence that Amanda Ellis came on my Instagram feed about her family, about her selling her home, about who does ancestor angelic colours UK or something. I do have a card somewhere, which is I don't know, somewhere. Anyway, Amanda Ellis. You just Google Amanda Ellis. She does angelic colours or something. That's her name anyway. And I know I shouldn't, but people say it's lazy and stuff. Anyway, you know, angelic colours UK, and it's probably somewhere anyway. I'm gonna probably have a look actually. It's somewhere if someone didn't delete thing, because I do have a card somewhere. If it's not been taken off. Nope, I can't find it. Or maybe I won't be able to find it because it was there. I know it's there. Just and I can't do this with. This is too heavy. Straw. Yeah, I can't exactly find it anyway. The time is going. Oh yeah, that's it. That's one of her bottles, which I love her colours. Amanda Ellis. Angelic colours. It's very small, the thing. I can't even read. Angelic. Celestialcolours.co.uk. But anyway, you probably connect if you go to like w.amandaellis.co.uk. That's her website, and she does like these cards. You get my saying? I still got those. I might have to change it, but I don't know. Just sometimes the things that I put on my card to meditate, it's like meant to be like the whole year round, the whole year, the whole 12 months. Believe it or not, I find that funny. So, but it's just. But anyway, she was saying about her mother, how she can't at the moment because of the economy, is that, today, this 1st of August, right, Lionsgate, which people called Lionsgate Portal, right, about her mother. About her mother, right, her mother, who's in the care home, and how, like, she's still sorting out the house, right, and the fact that the economy, UK economy at the moment with properties is that it's a bit difficult to sell houses. Even renting is difficult, if you get my saying. But anyway, so and she was saying about how her mother was not always is always unhappy, and how like she's a Gen Z, and those who know, I'm not Gen Z, sorry, Gen X, sorry. Gen Z is those who's born in the late 90s, in 90s, in the like in somewhere in the 90s and early 2000. Of course, after that is Gen X. It's before that is before that is me, millennials, and then it's Gen X. Because I was born 1986, but she said Gen X. Sorry, it's my quiet head injury. Maybe because I'm thinking about the Gen Zs. There must be thoughts. Anyway, but yeah, the Gen X. She's saying about the Gen X, but my dad is probably early Gen X. No, actually, he's not Gen X, actually. My dad's not a Gen X. Amanda is younger than my dad. Anyway, so, my dad is, that's my brothers, and Amanda Ellis, the ex-husband, he was Gen X. So, but anyway, she was saying about her, for her, she, as a Gen X person, how, like, her mother was never happy. She was always constantly in fear, anxiety, and whatever, and she's not. And when she was mentioned that, I was thinking about, because I was from that generation where TV was not so 100% bad. It was, from BBC, TV show, they were inspired by a book, called The Woman of Vinegar, about a fairy. She sees a, I think it's probably in an archive somewhere, in like libraries if they haven't thrown it away. But anyway, anybody has that, keep it, seriously. Because we do need really good technology. We need to keep good archives. There's something that a black lady who's passed away, who encouraged everybody to recall things because she knew about the system. She used to work in the system, and she bought, because of how she put her and her family set up a website where you do archive.com because we live in a corrupt society. They probably delete that off certain information, certain films, But we know that they was being manipulating time, information, you name it, because we live in a time where the rooftops, if you people read, you don't need religious, you don't need to be completely spiritual, just, study books as much as you can, if you want to know in lines, don't be ignorant. Ignorancy won't save you, but too much information is probably not good either. You have to find the middle balance. But basically, what we're saying is, it's response. What we're saying is that so yeah, so about the show, so it was like a show where they had adults playing play school or something. I can't remember his name. I used to know him, but as a kid. But anyway, probably a lot older now. But so they had people and actors who was reacting the story. For the, anyway. So play group or something. BBC play group or something. Anyway, so. But they were acting a story about the woman's vinegar. So there's this lady who's in a vinegar bottle and she's unhappy. And no matter how much the fairy helps her, she likes how the fairy feels sorry for her. So the fairy she goes and try to put her in all different places that make good, the woman said, oh, I want this like castle, to all different types of houses, or, and in the end, she goes back in the bottle because, you know why? She goes back in the vinegar bottle. The fairies said, you know what? I don't feel empathy anymore because the fact that you are not grateful, you're not happy, you just find it every way under the sun to not be happy. So therefore, you're going to remain in the vinegar bottle. For me, I try to be happy. Yes, I'm not saying I force myself to be grateful for something I'm not happy about. No, I just center myself and why I'm happy. Is it because I know I want more? Not because I'm in a narcissist ego way. No, because I know there's more out there. Even though I'm being in this place, in my born into place circumstances where things have been very difficult, but I know as a way shower, as a co-breaker, that I can break out this, that those who suppress me make sure I don't have anything. Just like these bullies, right, in the system, the governance system, they want me to make me to pay something that basically makes sure that I live less, and that eventually end up being somewhat go back to be locked up, because that's what they do, right? Medicate all disabled people that they don't speak, their third eye's blocked. I'm not saying like there are people that do need medication and help, but I'm just saying that we live in a very evil world where people kept saying, I came from a religious home that said, oh, the system is good for you. They are your gods. They are your gods. They're not your gods. They don't. I'm a sovereign being. I'm trying to be a sovereign being. Yes, I have to accept that I can't do everything. I can't wash up every day. I can't clean up. I've got more important things in this world than just, but, meeting, connecting people and inspiring people, who wants to wake up, who wants guidance. And I don't get paid physical payment. Instead, I might be paid in some way, in some sense, in if it's spiritual, emotional, or example, like someone gave me £5 because I had a panic attack and I couldn't find my bus pass, and it was actually in my phone case in my purse, but she probably has her own issues, right? Because she was a tired pensioner. probably in my dad's age group, the boomers section, you know, the post-war, the silent generation that Amanda Ellis talk about. But some of them are really light, and some of them, you know, she said to me, when I was meant to meet up someone who wanted to give me a life. I really wanted, but there was a reason why I was delayed, because the fact that I was not meant to. She gave me a message saying, you know, that I just should live myself and not help my future self, because defending me, because that friend, you know, because I went out my way and I couldn't. I was saying that I didn't have a phone and everything, and 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 you know, because they wanted me to meet up. But the thing is, I was waiting there, and I was like, and yes, I like the busking music that I go to in Oxford City. There's a really nice young man who does boss thing, you know, to also allow other people. He's probably got a huge social media account, more than me, because he's well supported. He doesn't have severe hidden disabilities. Everybody has disabilities, just what everybody has. That's part of being human. But certain percentage of the people who has more disadvantage, or say disability, are not allowed to shine, because 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 we because people do not want to remember that the Lord won, that we all won in the universe, we all and that and unite and support each other, and also see that not everybody's meant to be together, and that we have to separate between what's really good and what's bad, you know. But yeah, so she gave me £5. So I was only afford to me to have a single to get on my bus, but I had this huge amount, a little cash though for emergency, which I haven't spent. But you know, but yeah, just how it is, you know, and you know, I had to decide to say, you know what, to this person, I said to them, look, you promised me to take me to the pub, and I've been waiting outside, and you know, they said, oh, be happy, blah, blah. I think they're all joking. I think to myself, no. Men who say they're joking, they're not actually joking what they actually say, but they want to pretend that they've been catched doing a doo-doo poo, right? A mistake, and they're pretending like, I'm not saying all men are children, but the ones who's not spiritually aligned or spiritually awakened enough, they're like disturbed children. And the same thing with women, right? But I'm just not going to go there, right? But distorted energy anyway. So instead of like saying, oh, actually, I'm sorry, I apologize, I realised that's a mistake or something. Instead of say, oh, I'm joking, I'm thinking, I don't like that. You know, this low frequency. And you know, I had other things in my life important. And you know, I don't really want them even to call me, because the mother from the other side told me that I even said to them, but because they know that I'm spiritual, because I you know, I don't, these days I don't really exactly hide who I am. I don't open my everybody, because so you have to be careful who you say and do. But at the same time, I'm guided to put social media to educate people what the system is, and aware is it. I'm not saying everybody in the system are evil, no, but I said the actual system is innate in the best human interests. It's not. I may not have the opportunity to go to university, but because of my disability, and I was, the only thing I was offered to, when I was used to work for the day centre, when I was younger, before I was awakened to be Trinity like divine, I was Charity Sarah Gordon, and that's my legal name, right? And which was a program name, right? A program name that of saying settle anything, be a doormat, everything. And you know, I'm disappointed right now that I haven't have yet anybody yet fully wakened. That there are some people waking up, those who are a lot younger than me. There's some truth in my father's from my father who gave me a blessing from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, said that when every time it was like once a month blessing. It's only enough. This is the first Sunday. We used to have this traditional thing. A lot of LDS people have that Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints people that I was born in, because my parents was comforts. They were spiritually guided to go to that church. There is, I'm not saying it was 100% bad or evil, but of course, as I said, everything has a lot of evil and a lot of good in this as well. As I said, we have to, well, as I said, I was not meant to stay there. A lot of places in my life are not meant to stay too long or settled, and I have to choose what highest path of life I want to be. And Angel Michael showed me of what possible highest timeline when he convinced me to get back my body in a Luciferian church, Luciferian house hold. Was used to be their home, but then they turned it into because there was a time when Labour when Labour was in power in the early 90s, late 90s, right? Because it was not early, but late 90s. Tony Blair and then the early 2000s, Gordon Brown, right? So it's very short term, but they and yes, they did somewhat improve disabled people, but at the same time also didn't at the same time. There is one step forward, one step back kind of reality, which is like those ball games that you play, strategy games where they give people a little aid, but not too much aid. So it's like a look forward, but still remain them stranded in some way, unless you fully awaken and you're and aligned to demand a universal law of higher life, and as well as spiritual physical law, because everything above is below. What's behind the mirror is also appears in it's slightly different reality, but it's got similar principle, right? If you study religion, spirituality, right? Faith and spirituality, right? Religion, spirituality, they have their principles, their truth. Some of them from the darkness, some of them the light. Even darkness will have to have some truth to get people to digest it, because if it's something bad and toxic, you die. It's like too much light, you'll die. You can't consume it. Even angels, they have to lessen the light, unless they're on the verge of death. um, um, but as I said, if you with religious and faith, spiritual archives of people who had near-death experience, right? They was able to go fit enough. I mean, I did, as I said, I was a young child, so I was able to see Angel Rapid. I can't exactly remember who he looked like because your brain can't dip it, but it was a pic what mention those who meet angels in the they're depicted in religious texts, and not angels, and that they could be in person or people who in history have met angels, how they come in human form. If they turn somewhat, they're still light bodies, but they sort of even people who once passed away, they have those who had a high frequency life, awakened life, they they when they come to visit from the spiritual realm, they can actually turn their bodies temporary to be semi-physical enough that people don't realize that they're talking to someone that once was dead. That because there were stories about that. Um, um, about people who once was dead, and I'm like, oh, that was my great uncle. He physically fixed your car or something like that when you needed to go, your child needed to go to hospital and you was praying, those things, right? That because everything that's spiritual is also physical. That's one of the divine truths. Even science now they're picking up quantum science. But anyway, but what I'm saying is that I ain't going to be settled. I have met some people who say to me, "You can't say this or this happens." I was thinking, okay, I know the risk, but at the same time, I weigh my options spiritually and physically, and I'm thinking, you know what? I've got nothing to lose. The divine wants me to speak. Angel Raphael gave me a voice for a reason. I, I, I was I was told when my parents brought me to hospital that I was meant to be, when I had my crying head injury from the playground, was they didn't even give me support, my parents' support. That they just basically made them think the worst and everything. They withheld information. Even people who work in the church held information about, I'm not being awful, but it's I'm not. And they did try to help, but they didn't exactly get involved, and they should have done. I really do. And there was especially a child praying for help and everything. And there was someone that could have answered those prayers, but they did not, because I said, could people say, oh, why I didn't pray and stuff. There was people there, just that, as I said, the God doesn't, there's gods and celestial beings out there, from under realms, many multi-physical realms, do want to assist, but it's involved other people in play to make that happen, that reality, because of the law of free will. Of course, there's some divine intervention when, like I said, when Angel Raphael or Angel Michael convinced me to go back my body, because I was in the gates, heaven gates, people to say, right. So, I literally the gates. There was a test about people who did the TM test, and they saw the gates, and Angel Michael saying, you're not supposed to be here, kind of thing. Same thing what I said, but we'll show them more about their life purpose and stuff. Some of them probably became a too stubborn soul to be lighting more information and put sign of 10 it was never happened, or those who came from religious and spiritual fanatics. Or some of them will actually tell people the truth. But that's, and I say this, but that's how it is. Because I used to watch Amazon documentary, of course they're probably taken away some of these things. This is why it's important to archive if you can and give it to the masses. This is why people are going back to records and things, because they had a sense that things been altered a lot for the past decades. Even World War II, those things, decades about instruments and all that kind of stuff. But I'm going off key here, but what I'm saying, that truth has always been altered in some way. No matter, there's hasn't been an ideal, perfect timeline, even down to Aquarius and all that kind of stuff. Because I have some memories of being a mermaid, which probably they say Materka, right? So, but anyway, and I have met people that I was paid for services, and that I had some memory, and bring back some memory about that. because I was doing some meditation. I was led, because I questioned everything, but at the same time, I do, like Liz Hurl's Holy Spiritual Community, I kind of question, saying, are you really the light? And I'm thinking about the golden light. And I questioned about the golden light, but then I confirmed that I was right about that, purifying anything. That's like the mention in the Bible about the fire. Golden light is fire, basically. Not any fire, but Christ consciousness light, which or fire of Ra, right? If you're going to go deeper than Christ, the pre-Christ attribute is Ra, the sun god, the sun of all source, right? That we all live in sun. Our bodies is element of sun, right? We all image and children of gods. We all been aliens at some point. We all stars. We got, you'll get my names, but yeah, I just, I'm just educating. I'm not sure if us can be continue being buried or anything, but I just feel right to mention this. And yes, I know my hair is not great, but I'm just showing exactly who I am at this many moment in time. So, but yeah, yesterday, the last day of July 2026, that was Friday, I had a major delay of meeting up the person I was supposed to be meeting up. And because it was not meant to be. And then when I did, I should have let them go, really, but I just wanted someone to hug me, like me, because someone buy me a drink twice, when I was on the street, and but I thought it was being friendly, but they wanted more, and I can't do more. And I think maybe not even let them be my friend at all, because I'm going somewhere and they're not, and that sounds horrible and everything, but it's not. It's. Do you want someone? If someone doesn't grow with you, they're not going to move forward. And I got that with Man and Alice about her mother on Instagram this morning. Which of course by the time I plugged my mobile phone, everything is past that. So, but it's that don't hang on to people who's not. There's another message I got from her on Instagram post is that don't let people manipulate you. And when you know you got a higher purpose going on, don't waste your time. Like my Alice in Wonderland card, it said, don't waste your time. Yes, the Chester cat has so much to say, but he's also maybe in Africa or chaos, where he says half truths, half codes to delay you, instead of actually helping you and saying straightforward what to say. Instead, he's saying something else, and so you end up taking all this time trying to figure out when the answer was straightforward, but he was not actually for your highest good. There's something off that, by the way, by spiritual physical beings in this planet. You have to be careful, and especially the ones. It's meant. There's real life in fairy tales books about that, actually, about people who do riddles. They're not always good. They're actually there to delay your time, derail you, basically, or say, like, they're not 100% evil bad, but they ain't they ain't fully they advocate for your highest good. And yesterday I had one person that came up to me, that I'm trying to move forward. I like on YouTube from my 3 a.m. and when I decided to decide not to stay at the bar in Abingdon, um, and that was still open compared to other places that that was no longer open to the public. That was closing eventually, but they were still open to people to come in. And I really knew when I was doing my other video about the shoes, about my Grand Series shoe sandals, how I'm going to plan to send them back because they ain't good. The day I arrived, I took them, tried them out, and of course, thank goodness for an Amazon, you can return them back. Just like Viva Barefoot, I actually one time for a few minutes and they was not good, so I had to send them back. So, but because they're not very good, because I want my money back, because so because it's my divine work for not sold. But I like what this lady said, who's funny enough came from similar trauma to me, who came from religious traumatic life, who also like myself, who's got autism spectrum, and other hidden disabilities. It's not the same, but enough residents to list that I was able to listen, even though I wanted to talk, actually not interact, because there were some. I'm very grateful there were some people on YouTube that does actually put people platform to talk. But anyway, but she said something which I joined her channel, by the way, even though I don't really have time to always follow every channel, but she's got spot on about cold cutting, because I was thinking this because I've been trying to cold cut certain people and it doesn't seem to be the certain thing, but she was saying about something better, about detangling, so that so they they are further away, like say ambulance in Africa, and she's done different content, right? So she entangled the person, which makes sense, really. That's what I'm doing. I still do cold cutting, but at the same time I also say, well, that person, once I cold cut that person, I'm also going to be untangling them, that they're not going to be back in my cord again. That piece of thread is now further away. And if I do feel something, it's because it's in my cord radius, it's because to say stay away. Not because they're in good company, unless they're changed, which is very few people do change. I believe in power of change, I do. But there's certain things that you have to accept, certain things. Not everybody is like my father. He's a not good man, and I don't believe in giftedness or anything, but I have to stay away from him unless the Most High. And I mean by Most High, I mean the celestial divine teams in my team, the gods of the celestial light, tells me why. And of course there's gods in the world, but that works in the celestial light. There's different levels and stuff, but when saying because I said I work in many deities, I do believe Jesus Christ is a very powerful, conscious being in the earth, who died to heal the earth multi times in the universe, willing to sacrifice his life for all the humanity. Of course, some people say that he never did, but then I don't really go deeper. I just take where I know my personal truth experience. I cannot change that to anything else because that's not their life personal experience. All I can say is that it's like saying to someone like, "Oh, what honey tastes like? What salt tastes like?" You can't. That's unless you actually experience that. What's bitter and what's sour? You get what I'm saying? What does dirt taste like? What poo tastes like? You get what I'm saying? You know, you have to go through things, all the experience. You can't just be 100% pure experience and then you don't know what they know. This is why we in this school, this universe, planet, we've born to experience all things so that we know the highest good, but not stay in it, right? When you know something's not good for you, you try and avoid it if you can, and not relive it again. And that's what I'm trying to do with myself. Those admirers, male admirers in my life, or female admirers, it doesn't matter. But romantic, non-romantic, friendship, any form of relationship, and some of them are not my five good. I just have to say, okay, I appreciate that, but I'm not gonna move forward. And I'm just going to make space for those who are actually real. Because there's also good people I met who want to help me, and they're enlightened. Maybe we don't agree with everything, but they're enlightened. Or allow certain people back in my life because they respect me. They because I let them I gave them the distance they need to realise on their own, and I'm not gonna force them. I'm just like, okay, but also I'm gonna say to divine, not to their face or anything, just divine, saying, okay, if certain people, you remove them from me, even though I may not understand, and I was tugged to different directions, and sometimes I don't really have the clarity because I got so much opposition in my life, so much information, overwhelmed. Which reminds me of the free YouTube video that by these two spiritual ladies in UK. One there's Faye and one Scottish and one from London. Drew or something, I can't remember, but I love. They got information there, but I don't have time right now. Time is an essence. Guess I do need to slow down. Matt always tells me this. He's from his family's from originally from his father's side of the family is from Alaska. So, but I'm just saying that I don't want to relive this fucking dance again. They're not in my highest interest. I barely can afford. Yes, I get paid for live free rent, but everything's gone up. Even though I do try to manifest things, right? I have to live £700 a month, and yes, I do get universal risk, £700 something pounds a month, and then sometimes it comes about the same time, depends if because it's bank holiday or something, right? And then universal credit I get 1,000 something pounds, but that doesn't cover anything. Those who disabled haven't, if they've in UK England, some of them actually illegally find ways to have extra money, and some of them don't have both. I have both because it's my universal right to have both, because I had to accept that I'm meant to be working from the most high, the divine light. I didn't listen because I was given so much pressure by everyone saying, you need to work, you're lazy and everything, when actually I work, a light worker who from my dad's and parents' age, she's a hero. She said to me, she said about her personal her life and husband, how they used to run a church, and how they run down, and and how, like, she said to me when I was it was after I had another um after I had my working for the system, and I had no help in finding another job because it's not meant to be. I was never really meant to work in the council. I was never meant to work in the system. I was meant to work for the Most High, the divine beings. You know, I was told that, but I didn't listen. I just wanted to try. You know, I even tried to even work for the church. Just try to be a Samaritan job because I had a vision about being a Samaritan, and I did ask after doing lockdown, but I just said I had the sense that the person invited me, who's a doctor, because he's generally was real because I said he FaceTimed me, he ran prayer ropes, even though Humps do not agree with everything he said, believe, but anyway, but he wanted me to work for his foundation, like his own personal foundation he had going, for disabled children who couldn't afford, there's, books and stuff like that, as well, who helped me with my quite injury. But, not because he was still having hopes with his wife, who medically divorced him, once they had the first child. He's still in contact with her, but but as I said, I just had the sense not to, because he was thinking what everybody's thinking, and I need to be honest with my full self. I can't alter my whole self, so I decided not to, um, because many people I could have some life with, but spend time and stuff, but I had a sense that I needed there's some truth in being autistic, is that it's that you're spiritually truthful person. You don't want to be with people who are not allowed, where you're forced to apologise, whether your imperfect self, you need to make room for those mistakes. You need to make room to overcome them. But because that's a healthy spiritual thing, you know. Um, when I was breaking up this guy, he wanted to take me in Portugal. He was a lot older man anyway. I said to him, because he didn't want to be honest of how old he was. I was that's not good for me. I don't like anybody. I had a first boyfriend at that with him when everybody else did know exactly who he is age, but he didn't. He was too embarrassed because he was trafficked child, and he didn't know exactly his age, but he should have said, "Oh, I have an idea that maybe I'm this age group or something like that." He didn't tell me that because he was living in shame, and that was not fair for me. And yet he wanted my body, my time, my energy, and I was honest and honest with him. It's not fair, is it? Right? He was pointing out everybody else, but not in his own, looking in his own mirror, reflection, truly, like in Michael Jackson, Man in the Mirror. So, of course, there's other songs and poetry about that, but I said Michael Jackson was more visible in channeling those songs from the Most High, as well as those slow, but not going that deep level. But he generally was did try his best, despite the distorted world that derailed him in some things, but I just all set him up. Anyway, so, And I said I always knew once I get benefits that the government will try to slave me, control me, manipulate me. People think that genocide was World War II ended, but it wasn't. It was a conscious awareness of what exactly was going on. There was preparing people to accept certain things, conditions. Then it was war over when it wasn't. Um, the social global elites that created World War One, two, and other wars before that. But as I said, I just but yeah, they just want to keep me in cap. Just like take away the money that I get from the benefit system and they go back to their own pockets, and I don't get benefit of having thing. I did try to be positive, say, oh, I get my personal independent payment money. It was £114.60, and then universal credit is £240.05 per week, right? Total is 354 pence and 65. And so it means that I'm going to be even more poor and not getting benefits because they want me to be poorer, literally poorer. There was a book that I actually listened to when I first, when I was not able to get out, when I was released. I was 30 years old. There's a book there was, what was your book about? Romance book about this girl. She's all privileged and then she challenged the system, and which I hope is being in movies because the one person I like to be that was actor was who was used to be in Star Wars and comedian who has that disability where you're very short, right? I can't remember what it's called, but he could have been really good. That's what was in my mind when I was reading the book. There was a lawyer who said about the system. There's fiction about things that could be gone worse, but I'm just saying that it was a fictional book, but there's some divine truth in it about how the system likes to rig people out, where you're not allowed to sit. People don't want to sit or associate certain people once they're labelled, and you got people that probation you and they criminate you. They or some of them are willing to pay for nothing because they can't. So nobody else, spiritually and physically, line can't. And it was like a 3-book series. It was really cool. But because the person who did it, she usually do romance, but she noticed that during pre-lockdown, I think, as I said, 2000 and 2000, early 2000 book, early 2000. That's like probably like 2012 or 19. This book came out. Yep. What was it? As I said, I was in my 30s. I'm now 39, right? So I'm gonna be 40 this year. Because I've been corrected the other day. I mentioned in my other video about that. That was focusing on my Chinese years because I didn't have anybody to remind me. I was like using my phone. Fucking hell. Instead of passport. But anyway, so, and maybe because I'm an older soul as well, I just feel very older than most people my own age, to be honest with you. I always felt older than most people. I do consider myself a very young soul, and in as well. But at the same time, because it appears my youthism, right? But at the same time, I always had a bit of a silverness in my hair. But yeah, just how it is. Anyway, the time is going. I have to try to set up, get my stone back, quartz stone, before it gets tinted by someone's energy, and because there was this distraction. But it's interesting that a lot of things have been missing for me. It's not just me, but I think it's a collective, because I was talking to someone who is a psychiatrist and spiritually has a license, because there are some people in UK that has actually got a license if they go to university to study some shamanic medicine, like mushroom therapy and stuff, legally, but it has to have a university degree, right? Because that's what the least wants to do, making possible. And if it is, it's people with money. Anyway, but anyway, he was saying that a lot of people, including himself, seem to be losing things during the moon. At the end of August, because we still had that full moon energy this week. It's even still the whole moon in the individual eye, right? In Oxfordshire, UK. So it's Lion Gates portal and everything, and of course sun's been turned off. So, because remember there was a movie about when machines like Michelin turn off, that people find they're missing stuff, and then they'll close it again, and how like they're missing stuff was based on, they put in based on Oxford University and London University, of those who like work in places like CERN, open closing portals, doing Disney movie of that Viking god, Hammer god, what his name again? In Marvel comic movie, where they opened the bottle and they closed and they got missing things. I can't remember his name. It's so hard. This is why I don't like my disabilities. It's hard. Everything's just so obstacle. But they showed that in the movie. Even in the 60s, they had told about science fiction things and say all this, but there's some truth in it, or even a drug that tells people the truth. Serums and stuff like that. And keep us as being muggles, right? So the Medane people, keep them dumbed, right? Even people in the Vatican knows that to keep certain people simple-minded as children, and I'm not being awful, but there's nothing wrong with being a sheep, but you have to end up becoming. You have to think like the wolf. You have to think other animals to survive. First, you have to be smithers to be learning, but at the same time, you have to think as the predator sometimes too, to not to outsmart your predators. To be aware there is evil and good in this world, and not be a complete blank slate canvas. It's great to be. There's the reason why they've put there's cults that do with whiteness, because they want people submissive. They want them to not challenge, not nothing. That's why it's good. There is some goodness. As there's blacks. There's some goodness in black too, but the colour black. But I'm just saying that either those two colours, they both represent colours of rainbows, but they can also be very energy harvesting if it's misused in the incorrect way. If you don't use your willing to be spiritually enhanced, mentally enhanced. But yeah, I just have to just say, well, okay. Like last year in 2025, when I was bullied and harassed by social services, and say, well, I'm sorry, but I didn't have the money to get support. Great that you say this, but I'm sorry. I'll have to refuse those services. I'm sorry. And I'm hoping the Most High will, of the celestial light, the gods, the true gods of this universe and the universe will protect me and bring forth people who actually care and support. Because they don't want my hand back my stress. And yes, I do lose a lot of things. I have to pay a lot of things, but they're not gonna make my best. I learned my hard lesson when I was in my 20s. And they took my life. I ain't fear of it. I'm gonna tell the truth, nothing but the truth. But they do not have my interest at all. They want me sicker and poorer, have no children, nothing. And the great celestial light divine, show me my vision that I have children and everything. Yes, my life has been delayed because I was smitten into the wrong programs and the wrong things. But it ain't too late for me. I will have children. I've been given Instagram and YouTube about women who in their 40s plus who have children. Physically give birth. Even today, it was being a video about how the system's so evil, which I reposted in my Instagram feed, of women in who's been thinking to abort their children and never have children again because I have thyroid, which that can be cleared very easily. We'll have good doctors have surgery that's all about pro-life because they want to take away people to have the ability to have life or have completely health, because there's spiritual and there's a lot of suppressors. I'm not saying everybody has a right to have children. There's some people that shouldn't, but as I said, that's their own choice. But I'm just saying that, and remember that there's souls on the other side that meant to have to be there, even though they say, oh, I shouldn't have no right to be born. Well, I'm sorry, but if you did actually be allowed to awaken, so you know that you signed up a past contract. You may not choose to want to break up. Remember, we did. I have met some people who angry for being adopted, and there was one to come and how they're suppressed. I'm sorry, but you signed up. You signed up here, and now you have to make the best out of that situation and not be a victim. Yes, you tell people to be conscious about parenting, adopting. Yes, you do that. You tell the truth about the difficulties, but at the same time, you did sign up. Nobody forced you. Yes, there is some dark truth about people being trapped. Every cycle they're trapped, and they never been awakening their God codes, their God self, the great I am self, because they did not want the knowledge that the higher deities that also encourage them to be who they am. Like Jesus Christ, went in, Mother Mary, other beings that was reside here, who actually thought the highest good allowing people to empower themselves and to be their full light being again, and no longer be death and decay. We all meant to die, spiritually and physically, discipline ourselves and heal every day. But I'm going to say a lot of things, even though I may not have a lot of likes and everything. And I had to do from scratch because I was threatened a lot. There were some people who supported me, and I didn't mean to be grateful, but I had to walk away to protect myself, because I didn't have any money, not support, nothing. I used to find does help me, but I'm really struggling. I'm really would love to get paid for doing all my high life purpose, paid for it. I remember I just signed a contract with someone to do volunteering work. That's it. Um, but which which is cool. Anyway, I'm looking forward to starting doing that, because it's something that I'm really going to look forward to. Um, but yeah, just apart from that, I'm just very frustrated about this, which I'm not going to record about my volunteering, because that's personal. Um, but I'm going to say the benefits of volunteering has some balances. If you make sure you look after your health, you're not exploited by the people you volunteer. No, like it's the same thing. If you get paid, it's still the same. You need to have that spiritual. Even Jesus Christ did talk about, because I was raised Christian. That's my main, as well as I was showed. I was international, so I had other family members, and I said I was from Oxford, so there's a lot of different faiths out there, and I was taught opening, the many schools that I was able to go. There was loads of people that had faiths. I was willing to learn all different faiths and understanding, you know, especially in the Church of Christ. I was about how important it is to learn above and below the earth. It's very important. Um, but so nothing's been a waste resource. Even mistakes if you learn to do it quickly. But yeah, I got a broken sore on my foot. See this? That's not good. I got insulin though because it's probiotic that I had broken. They could probably get handlebouts, but it's so annoying. That I hate that they got the seal. I really should put like a container in it. But it means I don't have a container. I don't have space because I throw away the empty containers, and I should have not do that because now it's like anyway. But you know, interesting anyway. But another wisdom I want to say about salt. I also got a feed about Himalaya salt that apparently is not good. Apparently now, like first was I said ionized salt is bad and this and that. You know, the views like. I just think you just have to just like ground yourself and say, it's which one thing's information that's really relevant for me, and then go with it. Everything's poisonous, by the way. Everything is good. Even the good things, too much good things, certain good things can be poisonous too. So you have to be in the middle, which is being balanced, right? The middle, being centered in everything. Be the center of everything. Don't just take things immediately unless you know your guidance. Like, oh, actually, like for example, like with my aunt, it's like, okay, I'm in immediate trouble here. He's not the most intelligent person, but he's got some challenges, but at least he's here to help me, and that's all I can do, right? He probably has some feelings for me, but I made it very clear that I'm not interested, and he has to have no hope for that at all, because I'm not compatible with him at all. We're friends, and that's it. But it's funny enough, I have to make sure tomorrow and Sunday that he's here, and then I'll make sure I do my art therapy in Great House, because that's important for me. I'm not sure if I'm going to be made of Oxford in October or not, but I don't know what's going on, but I'm just going to take the opportunity I can. That was one of my prayer blessing before I lost that, and anyway, probably doesn't like me, maybe, I don't know, but for some truth, because I said that the person whose name Pedro Boyle, he was a general guy who was really, a cassette record keeper, okay, he was not a corrupt guy at all, he was very, very genuine, so he was a true gatekeeper of the light, definitely, but, just, but it doesn't mean just about me. So I was meant to remain in a place where I'm not allowed to grow and prosper. In the Church of Jesus Christ, that was not my pathway. My pathway is to live in a sovereign life. But and I do go to churches to get some help and stuff, but I haven't spiritually guided, only just for you to get food and stuff, and even then I have to make sure I'm not distorted by the bullshit that is or misled. It's hard. It's really hard. We live in a very hard time, but a wonderful time too. But I do need help. I do have like Angel Valentine's Saints show the help, but this help is a hindrance. They're just there to make sure that their monies get back, and it's not going to be there for my highest good. I need actual. It was best for me to keep that money, and ask the gods, find someone I can employ that will actually help me. And I said they're so ignorant. The woman who says to me, she asked me for Age UK, and I got calls saying that I was, it's just they just give him textbooks and incriminate about disabled people, anybody that say certain words and stuff. It's hard. I really do need to find a community that will protect me, really protect me. It wasn't bad for me that had to have someone that I thought they were not my true divine counterpart, but I thought he'd be my protector. Cause I needed someone to love and everything, and emotionally and physical, sexually. But he was, just because he did not take the COVID-19 vaccine didn't mean that he was awakened. Nope, he wasn't. He was basically selective. And he was my teacher assistant at community college. Be my say, but even then he was kind of hypocritical, and there were some complaints about him being a hypocrite, like Charles Dickens. Some people don't point it out. They don't actually look themselves in the mirror, and how they criminate. He practically incriminate my ex-boyfriend from Albania who survived trafficking. he didn't care about him. He just like, oh, he's this because, because he was programmed to. He's for the establishment, not the establishment. Okay, means that there's no different. Anyway, but I just find it hilarious. But I because I needed someone to protect me, provide me. There was no one there, and I thought he was going to help. The gods I did allow him to one show that they are real. They really are for him, and they did, despite what happened to him as a child at school, being one of the victims in the private school system, being satanic and everything, which he's aware and denying at the same time. But it's funny that a lot of the people I met that was from that school, they came from his generation, Gen X, that went to that private elite school in Oxford. They all, some of them who said heard rumours about sexual satanic rituals. They heard rumours and everything, but these things are real, guys, folks. But people just want to annul and say, oh, it's delusion, I can't deal with this, so I'm pretending this doesn't happen. And that's why, people, the reason why we didn't live in the delayed world is because the timelines, I say the Archangel showed me, and myself, because I'm a gatekeeper and timekeeper too, Golden of multi-universe, we're all guardians in some ways, right? And ourselves and others for the earth, but yeah, it's just, I don't know if I'm making it worse or not, but I just have to be dramatic and say, I appreciate your service, but I refuse to. I'll have to wait until they come up and say, well, I'm sorry, you can't take this out for me, sorry. I probably have to do it on Monday. Just call them to say, because I said to call this team, the access team, more like unaccess. The whole thing is a joke. I wish there was more people like myself who's to speak out about this. Even the people who awaken from the system talk about it. Because we need a real change. There has always been uprising, but then people just start buried into the thing and give it up very easily. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to wait show up. And they're not in my own interest. I don't know how I'm going to find a better way. I know I need help every day. I know that. I do not like I do not like myself that. But at the same time, they're not good either. I have to keep manifesting and praying to find the right people. Matt is not the 100% right person, but I had to use a plan to pay up to show that, and that's threatened response because they don't like the fact that I got someone. They hate it. They really hate it. Matt's afraid because he's disabled himself. He's not registered in disability, thank goodness, but he's not. He doesn't have the resources to fight. He's a coward. I'm not being awful, but he's not very smart for a reason. There's a reason why. He's smart in some ways, but he ain't. And I need someone stronger. But at the moment, I just had to pay a certain amount of him to help me. And, I know and he's the only person who's available compared to other people. But I need someone very powerful and resourceful who has the education, the understanding, and willing to learn about what it's like to have nothing. And I mean like nothing, who's aware about poverty and about like saying, I'm just saying, you know, because I came from a very poverty home, spiritually, mentally, and physically. Yes, I had some spiritual enrichment. I get that, but at the same time, I didn't, like everybody else, we all have trauma, all of petition. You know, the people who I know who's been like me in and out the system, and you know, go to places like Gatehouse and everything. We're very enlightened people. We're the star seeds. We're star seeds. We angels. We deities in hidden places. We name it. But you know, but I really want people who are in the system, who works for the Most High, go and actually who say they're for the gods and who are spiritual, that they actually not just talk about exposing, but actually actually fight for these things really real. I know there's very few people in the courts, but I mean actually help people like myself, so that I can help other people that know that there are gods out there who really care. There's human beings and real organisations who work for the real light workers, real light beings, real star beings. People believe there is goodness in this world, and that there's no, because people like Joe and Karen, who work for the council, who was part of the Lumai, there is all these organisations right in your fucking face, and nobody just pretends like, oh, that they don't exist. And if there is people like Joe and Karen who raised themselves from poverty and sold their fucking souls and happy to do rituals in some areas that once was a spiritual area in Dicop or the other places, and to do rituals in their fucking hidden cloaks, whatever, it doesn't matter. And then brainwash the masses and then say to me, because they know that I see them and hear them, and they thought that they had no, that they thought because they're so powerful. Well, guess what? Evil has a certain power time, but it doesn't last very long. Even the stories and movies, they tell the truth. The evil has a small reign, a small season, but it ain't worth it. Black magic doesn't, black Wicca, black magic, whatever, where you believe in magic or spirituality, religion, whatever any blackness in this world, evil, is not worth trading for, even for a short time, because it's better to remain alive and become sovereign, even though you struggle like hell, you got bills to pay, you haven't hired anybody around you, you're fucking alone, even though there are people saying you are, you know, around you, but they're not fucking away, they're not fighting, and they say they might you, but I wish they could be you, but they don't believe. And I said, well, I'm here, aren't I? I've seen God, I've seen angels, I've seen the whole shit. Not all of it, but enough to know to not go completely off track. I'm not perfect. I know that. I got fucking mistakes. I have to tell certain people to, even though I had to choose to go back to Gatehouse or something female, some house, and thought, no, I'm going to leave. You know, and I left something, you know, because I was not being my full true self. Because I'm a human being who has financial crisis. The government make it fucking hard for people like me to make their life better. They make it so hard, and the people make it easier for them, because they just believe to do nothing. Good people just do nothing, and they don't realise that they're part of the evil plans. Just go by and say, okay, this is accept this timeline. I'm actually planning to set places for people to leave and overcome these difficulties, who willing to be angel disguised in these evil places and leave and walk away and say, and then when they leave these evil organizations, they for a certain time they it was time for them to go because they can't hide anymore. They're gone. The secret light workers, the secret true saviors of this world, the true Ra's of life, the true light workers, the true awakened ones. No matter what religion they had, they was willing to go out of the way to save people, you know, because they didn't have support, but they knew that there's like this famous nanny in London. She was spiritually awakened to be Christ conscious. She believed in Jesus Christ, and she was led to go in India. She uses her own resources because she had no men protecting her. These days, it was never a good time for it's the type of country, but she had spiritual protection. She had faith, and the churches did not want to fund her. But yet she, on her way, she managed to save children that was ritualized in a temple, Indian god's temple, that was sexually assaulted, and because the gods didn't want that in those temples either. So some of them are probably dark. I'm not saying the whole religion is bad or anything, but there are some dark entities that mislead people, and she saved her children from harm. I watched this Christian doctrine movie about that, but that was bad, that you wouldn't know in the school systems about. And I was watching that after post lockdown or something. I can't remember because it was a time when I was not able to freely go as pleased, and I was educating myself. But yeah, that's the thing that we need to do to walk away from this evil stuff. Anyway, I'm very health because time's running out for me. I need to get some sun cream. I need to do other stuff, but hey-ho, guys, folks, thank you for watching, whatever timeline you are in. But I'm grateful, even if I'm change one person, to encourage them to feel their calling despite all this opposition in their lives. You got this. You are one of the volunteers, the light workers, the gods and secrets, whatever you believe. But we believe that the good overcomes evil, and not justify that becoming evil is better than being good. No, you know that's shit. It ain't worth it. The long run. They're not the real winners. You may get into the result for doing evil things, but they're very temporary. Very temporary. The long reward is better than the short reward. There's a Chinese proverb about that, actually. Anyway, bye.